Hi there, Rob Fraser here from Business Growth Strategies. Thanks for joining me today. Today I wanted to talk to you about your best process. When I talk about your best process, it's also known as the thing that makes you the most money. And so we're talking about a core process, which is your sales process that gives you a dependable and consistent result. And when we talk about a sales process, this is typically a relational sale, not a transactional sale. And a relational sale is where there's more human interaction, human contact. It could be a high ticket item. It could be certainly anything that's $500 or more will typically need these days some form of human interaction, whether it be a phone call, a Zoom call, and it could be a series of conversations depending on what it is and how much you're charging. And so in an e-commerce sale, you might not have any human contact. And so we call that a sales funnel. And so that's the difference between a sales process and a sales funnel. An example of a core process could be, like we said, a relational sales process, or what I call a consultative sales process, where you're literally collaborating with and consulting with the person that is a prospect to bring on board as a client or a customer. Definitely used in service-based businesses, professional services, consultants, coaches, anyone who's a knowledge expert, who's providing a service to help someone get something done they can't do on their own, or they just don't simply have the time or the expertise. And that could be anything from construction, engineering, agriculture, right through to accounting, financial planning, financial services, estate planning, legal, anything really that you can think of. Another example is a seminar, and that's a core process, particularly if you've really perfected the setting up, the marketing, the sales of seminars, getting people into the event, and following people up during the event and after the event. That's a core process. A webinar or an online class, like an on-demand class. Once you've perfected that, it's a core process. A product launch, if you've got an information product, that's a core process. Or a book funnel where you're really building a list. You could be doing that with seminars, with webinars, on-demand classes, with something like a book funnel or a free report, a PDF, or a series of videos. That's a core process. And it could be all part of a fuller sales process that you're trying to develop. So here's an example of a webinar sales process. And this one's to strangers and friends. It could be that you send out an email or you run an ad on Facebook, YouTube, on Instagram. It just depends where you run something. And you're trying to get people to register, to opt in. Then you send them reminders to come along to the webinar, and they either show or they don't. And if it's an on-demand class and something recorded, you might then send them reminders to come back to watch it. And then they either buy or they don't. And then you follow them up with emails to keep coming back to hopefully getting them to buy. And then obviously follow up after the purchase for what's next. What else is there? What else is the next upsell that you want to take them to, or potentially to a downsell? Here's another sales process, if you like. And as I said before, it could be a prospect who knows you. You send them an email, then they click to get a free report, a PDF of some sort, and then they fill out an application, and then you approve that application. They schedule the call with you, and then you do the call. Now, obviously, in between each one of these steps, there are gaps. And ideally, over time, we would fill those gaps, and we would use email to have a click on the PDF sequence, to have a go apply sequence, to go schedule, and to turn up to the call sequence. And the more you do that, because here's the thing, most businesses don't make enough offers and they don't do enough follow-up. And so doing enough will absolutely transform your results. And so knowing what your processes are and how they all fit together, and all of these could fit together for sure. And here's another example, what I call a consultative sales process. This is with a warm lead or a prospect. So again, an email or an ad, there's a phone call. From there, you go into a discovery session where you ask lots of questions. To be honest, there are 4 phases that you need to go through from discovery through to diagnosis to getting their permission. They're giving you permission to then pitch them. And that's what you want to take them through in a consultative sales process. You want to discover their biggest problem. You also want to discover what they perceive they need and take them on a journey to what they really need. And so then you would move into an action planning session based on what came out of the discovery session. And so typically what we would do in the past when we first discovered this particular sales process, and we were working with accountants, this was 20 years ago, we would teach them how to work with businesses, how to do business advisory, and we would teach them how to ask a whole bunch of questions about the business in the discovery session, how to set up the discovery and action planning sessions, how to charge for those 2 sessions, and end up coming back together and collaborating in pulling together an action plan, which was really the basis for a proposal. And then the proposal, they could either go and do the action plan themselves, or the proposal would be for you to help them and to move forward. And then that moves on to whatever the project is. The beautiful thing about projects is there's always a beginning, a middle, and an end. And then the question is, what's next? And you start the process again. So this is a core process. And so chances are you've got lots of core processes you've used over the years, and chances are one of them will outperform all of the others combined. And that's the core process that you really focus on. And when you add your best payday, your best product or service with the most profitability in it, and you use your best sales process to your best buyer at your best price, that's when you really win. And so, like I said, we call the one that worked best of all things your best process. So I hope this has been helpful. If you need some help, put your hand up, and you can go to our website and learn more about what we can do next from there. Thanks very much.